Sonia, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Lack,
Here.
Commissioner Zilli,
Here.
Commissioner Ekdahl is absent, Commissioner Munt,
Here.
Mayor Lynch,
Here.
Commissioner Finley is absent.
We have the approval of minutes from August 24th.
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have motion and a second. Are there any questions? Any changes, discussions? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We have the payment of claims.
Make a motion to approve the claims.
Second.
We have motion and a second to approve the claims. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Staff reports.
Yes, good afternoon, Mayor Lynch, Commissioners. First, I'd like to invite Bailey McGrath to come up and give a brief report on progress with the Downtown Development Corporation.
Good evening, Commissioners. So we have a few updates as it relates to the Downtown Development Corporation. The board has been mostly identified and will be hosting the first kickoff meeting to get the group together and start to reformalize on October 5th. In this meeting, we'll be presenting the downtown plan that was put together by Smith Group and HWC in November of last year. We'll be talking about the recent implementation, part of that including the RFP, which we'll discuss later on this afternoon. And moving from there, we'll talk about how we're going to file and make it a formal entity and take it from there. Questions, concerns?
That is good news.
Try to have some good news. Thank you.
Thank you, Bailey.
Glad to see that starting. I'm really excited to get our downtown kicked off here and get moving, so good news.
Yeah, I'd like
AJ?
Yes, I'd like to next invite up to the podium Mr. Rich Piazza to give us an update on the Portage Library Garden project.
Good evening. The Portage Library project is moving along slowly but surely. Last month I reported that you guys had a conflict with a telephone pedestal. That's been resolved. Since then, we also found a gas main. That's been removed and taken care of. And I've met with NIPSCO to get the streetlight relocated. So we're moving along. Structure should be in next week. We should start doing storm sewers. Light pole bases should be going in next week, and some foundations for the buildings should be started. So a little bit of activity that's going on. In your
good.
pay apps this month, you should see the first pay application. I think it's for $136,000 some change, $138,748. So hopefully you guys saw that one.
That's good news, and it looks like you're going to have good weather next week, too, so they'll be able to get going through that.
Yep. Any other questions?
Well, thanks for the update.
Thanks, guys.
I know they think I'm a stalker because I go by there multiple times a day.
Later on, during this evening's meeting, we'll be hearing a presentation regarding the open air pavilion and Craftsman Community Makers Lab. So we're really looking forward to hearing that presentation. Regarding the Central Avenue West projects, work is continuing on the engineering design per the change order that was approved in August. And we will keep the commission posted on if the schedule changes. We appear to still be on track to have a second change order for construction ready to be presented to the commission at the November meeting. Central Avenue West Phase 1B, land acquisition continues. You will notice on today's agenda there are a number of items related to downtown plan implementation, including the Founders Square Lighting Project, Founders Square 2023 Improvement Project, engineering design services for the next phase of the downtown project, and a due diligence extension for a lot to the east of Founders Square. So there's a lot on the agenda regarding those matters. Transit Development District, the RDA's work is continuing, and it is The plan that the district will begin capturing increment in January 2024. The Marquette Greenway Trail, the remaining segments that were included in the RAISE grant, the Northwestern Indiana Regional Plan Commission is working with the Federal Highway to finalize that grant agreement. The department had a kickoff meeting to discuss electrical and IT requirements for the security system at Garyton, and that work is progressing with ADT. We also spent some time with them talking about some of the more robust security measures that were mentioned at the previous commission meeting, and information was provided to ADT so that they could begin developing a proposal for a more robust security system at Garyton. I think Bill Ration with real estate is going to cover most of his items today in the agenda. So, Mayor, that would conclude our report.
Thank you, AJ. Do you have any questions for AJ? Okay, moving along under new business, we have the approval of amendments number 8 and 9 to the 2023 working budget.
Madam Mayor, members, before you this evening, we have two budget amendments. Budget amendment number 8 includes, including the Founder Square lighting design in the working budget. That would be an add to that line in the amount of $24,500. And it includes funding for the construction project for the Founder Square lighting project if that project is awarded later during this meeting. Budget amendment number 9 includes closeout for Founder Square Plaza. It includes closeout for City Hall, and it includes the Irving Street Trail project design contract.
I'll make a motion to approve budget amendments 8 and 9.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Are there any questions? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We have the approval of purchase agreement execution for 6051 and 6071 Central Avenue.
I believe that's already been approved by this board, but Bill could speak to it. I think it was approved contingent upon my review and the mayor's execution. That document has been reviewed, modified, and fully executed. So we're off to title.
Correct. Fully executed yesterday, and our due diligence period starts today, or their due diligence period starts today.
And if I could offer an update on that, I did receive an email from the proposed purchaser. We are scheduling a meeting early next week to go through the required review process here in the city.
Good news.
Yep, moving along.
Business coming into town.
Yes, they are. Appreciate all the help with all the commissioners. That was a tough one, especially yours, Mr. Witten. That was a tough one to get through that contract. But it was accomplished, and now we'll move on. We do have a few items on our side to do.
They
We
still
have,
haven't said what it is yet, right?
pardon me?
They still haven't said what it is yet?
We're still under a non-disclosure.
We are, okay.
No, we're not under non-disclosure, but on that one, they asked us not to disclose, but we didn't sign anything. And I talked to them today. They haven't signed their lease with the tenant as of yet, so they didn't want it announced publicly. So next meeting, I should be able to announce who that is. Core Development is the client that we can announce. So, out of Chicago.
It's a cool business.
Yes.
You're
Yep.
very happy.
We do have Avonmarsh performing our side of the due diligence, which is the survey. And I talked with Rich earlier today about it. We're right on time with that. So that is all under 8.2.
Thank you. Good news. Good news for our city. Okay, we have the approval of Avnarsh service agreement for parcel C.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, another contract. This is for some minor survey work. You'd already approved the expenditure a couple months ago relative to parcel C on the north side development. We were able to get the site mowed. Now we need to get the lines laid so we can get the soil borings done. So recommending my recommendation is to approve the service agreement that has been submitted.
Ann, have you reviewed it yet?
I have. It looks really good.
I'll make a motion to approve the service agreement with Avon-Marsh.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have the approval of NERC Portage EDC lease extension.
Thank you again, Mayor. This is an extension of a sublease between Portage EDC and NERC NWI Forum. It's only an extension to the end of the year because for some reason their contract, their lease expired 3 months prior to NERC's lease expiring. So this is just syncing them up. Again, I recommend that it be signed.
And I've looked it over and spoken with Bill, and I would ask also that the board approve this.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. 8.5, approval of Founders Square Lot due diligence extension.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an extension for the east lot in Founder Square. It's an item we actually anticipated, or AJ and I discussed early on in this process. Their due diligence period has technically run out because he's, instead of just pursuing financing and purchasing the lot, he's gone for the full construction financing and his permitting and so forth that he's going through with the planning department. So they're asking for another 120 days extension to that contract to include that financing and construction permitting. The board has two options, basically, is to terminate the purchase agreement or to sign the extension and authorize the 120 days. My recommendation at this point, without any other options, is to sign the extension.
I'll make a motion to sign the extension.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
I think we're good. I've had, again, conversations with Bill about this, and I concur this is the best option.
Okay, we have motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you again. That's all I have for tonight, unless
Thank
anybody has
you,
any
Bill.
questions for me.
Good job, Bill.
Yep.
Thank you,
We're
Bill.
keeping you busy.
Yes, we are. We're going to bring more businesses to downtown and north side.
Yep. We're excited about that. We have the award for Founder Square Lighting Project.
Yes, Mayor Lynch, Commissioners, at last month's meeting, we opened bids for this lighting project. The apparent low and responsible bidder was Gary Up in the amount of $190,000. Thought I had it listed here. $190,000. Okay, it's around here somewhere.
Wasn't it Circle R?
It was Circle R, I'm sorry. Thank you for the correction.
You have it right there, Greg.
190,615.
Thank you.
Just a small correction. The person and the money. Doing a good job.
It's a lot to keep up in the air. Yeah, so it'd be staff's recommendation to move forward with Circle R and the amount reported by Commissioner Lack.
I'll make a motion to award to Circle R for $190,615.
Second.
We have motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We will be opening the Founder Square 2023 Improvement Project.
Yes, Mayor Lynch, members, we received 2 sealed bids for the Founders Square Improvements Project for 2023. The first here was received by Gary Up Construction Company, 3965 Harrison Street, Gary, Indiana, 46401. The amount of the bid is $987,500. That's 987,500. Second bid received was from Grimmer Construction, Inc., 2619 Main Street, Highland, Indiana, 46322. Grimmer Construction's bid is in the amount of $792,000. That's 792,000. Be staff's recommendation to take these bids under advisement to allow the department and Attorney Whitten an opportunity to review.
Make a motion to take the bids under advisement.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. AJ, would you just kind of give us a little thumbnail of what that project is?
Yes.
Nothing major, just kind of remind us. what-
This project contemplates additional sidewalks, lighting, and parking along Serco, Harding, and North Founders.
Okay, any question by the commission? If not, we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, AJ.
You're welcome. Thank you.
We have a discussion on the Portage Police Department parking lot at 6260 Central Avenue.
Yes, this is a request that it was forwarded to the department by Chief Candiano and the folks over at the police department. You'll find some correspondence, back and forth conversation with Chief regarding his concern, thoughts on a remedy, and included in that, you'll see the preparation of documents for a solicitation of quotes for the work contemplated. So there's mostly text, and there's an exhibit provided in the back of your, toward the end of your packet. What the project contemplates is the removal of the driveway. So when you turn off Central Avenue into the public parking lot at Portage PD, you can drive all the way through to the alley and now continue because of that new public parking lot that was built. The department's seeing a lot of through traffic along that driveway, and would like to request the Redevelopment Commission's support to close that driveway so that the traffic entering and exiting the police station is only that wanting to do work or wanted to do business at the Portage Police Department. Looking at the with the recommendation of the police department, I know they spent a lot of time looking at what this would mean in terms of circulation and their operations. I know it's been vetted by the group. It would be staff support to support this request, and would ask permission to proceed with seeking quotes to perform the work.
How many accidents have occurred?
I'm not sure if it's accidents, Commissioner Lack. I think it's more just that kind of speeding through traffic. A lot of, now that that public parking lot is built to the north, instead of making their way down to the public street just to the east, there's just a lot of traffic coming on and off Central Avenue, really using the driveway as like a through route, as opposed to driving 250 feet to the east and using the public streets. And I just think that they're concerned that it could ultimately lead to some traffic or some accidents or some incidents in the parking lot that they're uncomfortable with.
Have you tried posting a speed limit sign or speed bumps or something to?
We haven't gone down that road at this point, no. I know that Chief Candiano and the folks at the PD looked at their options, and I think that they felt that this would be the best one for what they're trying to accomplish.
And then after we finish the downtown master plan, that doesn't take any of this into consideration? I mean, it still shows it as a through fare?
I would have to refer to that document. It probably does. It probably does, because I don't think it was, at the time, this wasn't brought to the attention of the planners to make a decision on, kind of how to look at that. So I just think it wasn't something that had come up. I mean, you see the emails here from Chief Candiano. Really, this came to the attention of the department in May of this year.
I mean, I think, let's get quotes and then make a decision. I mean, I think we kind of need to know what's gonna cost us to do it first.
Well, I think the other thing too is that, when we have events downtown, people use that going through there. I'm not so sure that's a very good idea. I mean, they need to use the city streets, and, I mean, I kind of go along with the chief. That's not a place for them to be buzzing through there. So I'll go
Well,
along with Colin, get some prices.
Yeah, I'll make a
and-
motion to seek quotes for this project at the police department.
Okay.
Second.
Second.
You have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have the recommendation Downtown Engineering Services, HWC.
Yes, included in your packet is a memo from the department reporting out on the interviews that were conducted on September 13th. Thank you to Commissioners Lack and Munt for spending that day during those interviews. I know those can be long days, so thank you for that. It would be the recommendation of Commissioners Lack and Munt to move forward with contracting with HWC Engineering. And I
Motion
would
to approve.
defer to them if there's anything else they would like to add.
Other than after a long day of listening to engineering firms, it is our belief that HWC is the best fit.
Yeah, I would agree with that. We were very impressed with their presentation and thought they had the most comprehensive plan for us.
Perfect. Thank you.
Did we, I assume, I didn't sit in on the interviews, obviously, but given it was so comprehensive, is that why we are going with it was the more expensive proposal, because it was so comprehensive? Because it was the most expensive of the three,
I wasn't
right?
in an interview process, so I think it'd be better for the commissioners to speak to that.
So we have a motion, we need a second, and then we will
I'll
have
second.
discussion. Now you can have discussion.
Yeah, I think overall they were, on paper, the most expensive. However, I think they looked at it more of a holistic approach of being able to have opportunity to phase it in and give different options that I think overall would be the best for Portage. I don't think it's necessarily a price. You can always find someone lower and everything. It depends on what the deliverable is going to be.
Right.
And I think that's where they shined above everyone else.
I would go along with what Greg has to say, without any question. I mean, they just, I think for the future and the downtown project, theirs was just, regardless of cost, was the better option.
Okay, well, thank you guys for taking a whole day of your time on behalf of this commission, because we appreciate it. We know it took a lot of time and a lot of thought, and we appreciate that. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We have a discussion on alternative fuel grant program request for financial assistance. Superintendent Reeder.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members. Hopefully this screen changes over here. But I just wanted to give you a brief background of what's going on with the sanitation department of the city of Portage over the past couple of years. It did not do that, so. Well, we're going to turn that off for a second there, so we figure out that. But over the past couple of years, we've sought out. Say that, Greg. In the meantime here, I'll give you, you want to set this up first before I start talking? Okay. Oh, okay. So back in, we've been seeking grants out for the sanitation department in much-needed upgraded equipment and some other CNG projects. And one of the first ones we got back, we went and submitted a grant through Drive Clean Indiana back in 2001, and the city was awarded about $550,000. And then within that project, it pertained to about $2.2 million worth of CNG equipment that we've already received. Today I was going to ask this board if they would be willing to invest and help the sanitation department in its next project. We just recently got a NERPC grant or a NOFA grant through NERPC, and that entails about, I'm going to get this right here, the total project was about $6.8 million. And that's NOFA grant is an 80-20 match. So the total grant request through the year 2028 comes out to about $5.4 million. So the city match in that grant was about almost $1.4 million. Within that project are some purchases. And one of the main purchases that I wanted to bring to this board was 4 CNG trucks. And I also submitted that proposal through Best Equipment. It is a Sourcewell grant, and that Sourcewell grant is in the amount of $1,897,928, and that consists of 4 CNG trucks. And now that we've got this up, I wanted to show a small 3-minute commercial of what we've already done and accomplished. We still got one screen not running correctly here. The screen behind you is all. You get one screen. Okay, well, get one screen. So I was going to show a 3-minute commercial that Drive Clean Indiana has done with the equipment that we've already received and the future of the City of Portage Sanitation Department. So I'm going to start this right now.
The City of Portage is very committed to being a sustainable green city. The transition to CNG trucks for our city allows us to be sustainable, and it allows us to save additional dollars on our budget. Our goal is to have our complete fleet in the sanitation department totally green by 2028. Our partnership with Drive Clean Indiana is so valuable because they have helped us get the grants that we're getting to get this equipment into our city. We are going to be able to have a total green fleet because of their efforts.
My name is Randy Reeder. I'm the superintendent of streets and sanitation, and a few years ago we reached out to Ryan Lissick, who worked for Drive Clean Indiana, and seen some of the grant opportunities that were out there. And one of the grant opportunities that we found was the Volkswagen litigation grant, and that allowed us to get about 7 trucks, which we've already received 5, and in about a couple weeks we're going to be receiving 2 more.
These trucks get a lot of idle time on the route, and the CNG does accommodate that better than diesel. The burn rate is a lot better at idle, so our fuel does last us longer on our routes than what we ever could have anticipated. Best Equipment is completely dedicated and partnering with Drive Clean Indiana. They have been a very important aspect of the business for Best Equipment, as well as their partnerships with all of the cities. It brings together the dealer, the cleaner initiatives, and the cities all into one for the greater good. And we very much appreciate Drive Clean Indiana, Ryan Lissick, Carl, and his crew.
The City of Portage is currently dumping off at the transfer station, and they drive 0.5 miles away to go and fill up over at Ozinga Energy. And this has been a great relationship because Ozinga Energy's natural gas is sourced from renewable methane from a landfill in Texas. And this is one of the cleanest burning fuels that is available for heavy-duty trucks like these 7 garbage trucks. Without the leadership of Randy and Reeder, we would have not been able to have this project be successful. This is a huge win that can be repeated in cities across the country.
The quality of life is better when you have these kinds of equipment running in your city. So I am hoping that ultimately we continue to work with Drive Clean Indiana to get our entire fleet, not only for our sanitation department, but for other departments as well. It's very important that we make that switch to clean fuels. They're very clean burning, they're great for the environment, and they're great for the quality of life of our city.
So that is what we've been doing in the city the sanitation department for the city of Portage. And we continue to strive to obtain other equipment. Our last automation truck that we purchased within the city was back in 2016. That has seen quite amount of hours and miles on it, and it's still in service. I don't know how long it's going to be in service, but we would like to take some of that old equipment and switch it over. The proposal in front of you is 4 automation trucks, and those are the side loaders. And that, again, that total package. Now, the unique thing about the grant, and what I'm asking today is that when the trucks are ordered, it takes about 12 to 18 months for these to be delivered. At that time of delivery, once the city receives it, then payment is due. So the NOFA grant, the way it's set up is that the city of Portage has to come up with the total amount. Once that total amount is paid, then the grant is processed. And this NOFA grant, we get 80% back. So approximately $1,352,000 is coming back to the city. And then the 20% that's left over has to be somewhat financed through the remaining amount. So I'm asking this board to consider when the trucks come and delivered that they would consider paying for the trucks up front. I believe that there is a agreement that through legal I've submitted that you could look at and propose some options, and hopefully I just ask this board to strongly consider investing in our city equipment and updating. So any questions regarding the CNG trucks or this proposal?
Randy, in terms of fuel savings, I know this answer, but for everybody else, what has the fuel savings cost been for the department?
The last time I checked, the diesel was about a little over $4 a gallon. The equivalent CNG gallon to that is about $3 and I believe 20 cents. The unique thing about that is there's another grant at the end of the year we could apply for, and I believe it's 50 cents on a mile that we could submit through our CNG and get reimbursed.
So what are you asking for today? I mean, does the RDC have to commit to the 1.9 million? We pay the 1.9 and then get reimbursed 80% of that?
In 30 days of receipt of the trucks?
Yes, once the payment is received, the NOFA grant will require a wire transfer payment, like proof that we did pay it all. And then within 30 days, that's processed and a check is cut back to the city or the RDC for the 80% grant.
Dan or AJ, how does that work with, if it comes out of our TIF funds and we're reimbursed, do those go in our general fund or TIF fund?
What do you think, AJ? I don't know that I have an answer for that right now. You might.
I would think you would pay back the allocation area.
So I think it's twofold, right? You got the 80% and the 20% on the table here. The 80% is a short-term turnaround, and 20% is a different discussion. Is that correct? Am I understanding it right?
That's correct.
So AJ, I believe you have spoken to Randy about this, you and the council president
Yes. And the budget
and the
committee.
council budget chair. So the other thing is, when we talk about the TIF money, the commission needs to know that the street department is in the allocation area. It was put in there when we built the street department, so it's like, it's not out of the realm of possibility that we would do this, because it's already in the TIF district. And this is a short term, and then Randy, could you tell us exactly what the 20% is? What is the total amount of the 20%?
The 20% is about $540,000.
And so, Randy, you're not really saying that the redevelopment commission would end up paying that 540, are you? We would in the beginning, but if there were other funds, like in an equipment bond or something like that, that could be covered. Am I incorrect?
So it seems to me that, and maybe I'm wrong, but it seems to me, Randy, that the thought, or maybe Deb, you're one to speak to this, but I think the thought was, this is a loan that has two payment plans built into it, if this board's okay with it. One is the 80% will be repaid within 30 days, which we're talking like a year down the road, right, Randy?
Yes.
For delivery. And then the other 20% would be a loan to be paid back over time. Is that correct?
That's correct. So the 80% would be paid. Once the trucks are delivered, it takes about 12 to 18 months to build these trucks, and there's no payment until then. Once the trucks are delivered, there will be an invoice. That invoice is paid in full within 30 days. That is processed with proof of payment, and the NOFA grant will pay back 80% within that project.
So, maybe I can simplify this. We're not paying the cash tomorrow.
No.
Right. This is, the RDC is committing that 18 months from now, we may have to do it if the funds can't be found elsewhere at that time.
That's correct.
So
Which we
Randy-
have the equipment bond, which the council budget committee is currently meeting about in our budget sessions, which is intended to cover the 20% portion.
Yes.
But we don't have, we're not spending that money for 18 months. Right, like, the trucks aren't coming tomorrow. This is just,
No.
they want to purchase the truck.
I guess
the
we
money
could look
coming
at,
into the city through this grant is huge. So really, I mean, I think piggybacking on the presentation you made to the Board of Works and the council members, I think it's just a huge amount of money for the city's benefit by way of a grant. We don't want to miss out. We don't want to lose that opportunity. Furthermore, we're just looking for, the council needs some sort of comfort that if by some chance, 18 months from now, they don't have the funds available, we've got you guys as a fallback to fund that. I think, one short-term, one a little longer term, part of it short-term.
And the short term gets reimbursed. Right.
Think of it this way, we got money here available to help purchase equipment. Think of it this way, if I had a $100,000 pickup truck. That's a nice truck. Yeah, that's a nice truck, and the government says, look, I'll pay 80% of that. I know you gotta come up with, but once you come up with 100,000, I'm gonna give you 80,000 back. Now we just gotta figure out the 20,000.
But the 20% is off the 1.897928,
Yes.
Correct.
and that's 300 and some thousand.
That's about
540?
540,000.
So Randy, could you tell the commission what the cost of that truck would be if we bought it outright and what we're going to pay for it with the grant?
Yeah, it's 380,000. That's 20% of 1.9 million.
So if we were to go out and just purchase diesel trucks without any grant money, each one of those trucks would cost about $408,000. It's not cheap equipment.
No, that's not what we're asking.
I asked him a question, he's answering my question.
Right, but we didn't answer Greg's question to begin with. The 20% is $380,000 of this number in front of us, 1.9 million. 20% is 380,000, not 540,000, right?
540,000? Well, you got to subtract, there has been some changes in prices since then, and it's been eaten into that cost. So we would get back $1,352,000 through the 4 trucks purchased through this proposal. That's all that's offered here. So subtract that from the $1,897,928.
Thank you.
So it's not 80/20, it's more
It's
like
not
60/40.
right, but the amount was awarded at a time. Costs have gone up.
Yes.
You don't get more money if costs go up. You only get what you were awarded.
Yes.
That makes more sense now.
And as we delay on this, costs are going to escalate. That's why we got to lock this in price. We've already had price changes in the current, and they keep on changing. I got to go back to Sourcewell, get new quote, because prices keep on going up. So
I mean, speaking from the budget committee's perspective, I'm on the budget committee. We have the equipment bond of 5.8 million. The problem is we have other equipment we need to buy in the next 18 months for other departments. We always intend to renew this equipment bond, but 18 months from now, when these garbage trucks are delivered, we could have 540,000 left, we could have 300,000 left, we could have 0 left. What Randy's asking for is the RDC to commit to cover it if the city doesn't have the funds available, because we don't want to lose the opportunity to get this many trucks for such a cheap amount of money. To get 4 trucks for $540,000 is huge cost savings to the taxpayers to begin with. So I am supportive of this from the RDC's perspective. The intention is that the city will have the funds available, but we're talking 18 months from now. We don't know exactly what that could mean 18 months from now.
So Randy, you're saying one truck is normally $408,000, and what would the cost be to us?
oh, at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, each truck would be about $135,000.
I mean, from the city's perspective, we don't want to take on a grant that we can't guarantee the equipment bond will be able to fund 18 months from now. But we don't want to lose the opportunity, and the cash, quite frankly, is at the RDC. Sanitation does not have the cash to do this. Ideally, that's where this would be. But our sanitation department runs super lean to begin with because they can't make a profit. They're not allowed to make a profit in Indiana. So there's no cash at sanitation to do this. We're either talking the equipment bond or RDC here. Either way, either way, we're getting the trucks at such a great value. But the equipment bond just may not have enough to cover it 18 months from now, because we have a fire truck to purchase and squad cars to purchase and other equipment for Parks Department and other things for the street department that are in that. And as costs go up, 5.8 million gets eaten up real quick. I mean, the fire truck alone is $1 million.
In March of 2025, when the truck arrives, RDC has to encumber 1.9 million as a hold. We pay 1.9 million and we get 1.4 back. Do I understand it correctly?
Correct.
Correct.
Within 30 days, we will get the 1.3, what is it, 1.38 something?
It is $1,352,000.
We will get that back to the RDC. The question remains, does the RDC commit to cover that additional cost at the time, or does the city pay the RDC back over time? At some point, the city is gonna probably have, I mean, the way this is structured, it will have to be paid back. It's just a question of when and how. But the city having, but the city having $540,000, I mean, we run very lean to begin with on the city side. I mean, we struggle to purchase squad cars every year. That's why the equipment bond came up, was we need a revolving pot of money that can be budgeted for, so we're not scrounging to find $500,000 this year to buy 10 squad cars.
And I just want to add that when I first came on the council, which was a while ago, we paid landfill fees and insurance out of redevelopment money, and that was never given back. I think AJ can attest to that. It was never paid back. This is going to get paid back. So, I mean, there is a significant difference.
Yeah, just like the $1 million. The city paid back the $1 million paving loan from 8 years ago because we had to pay it back and the time came to finally get it done. But I mean, from a perspective of guaranteeing that the funds will be there, I think the RDC can guarantee that. Knowing that we're getting $1.3 million back of it.
In March of 2025, we just had to budget it.
Right, we know it's gonna happen. We'll have to budget for it. The RDC is, this year, what was it, $7 million to start the year? And the way the budget is, it'll be that way at the start of 2024. And we intend to continue that at the start of 2025. Well, I mean, the RDC is not gonna get back to where it was 4 years ago when it was, what, $35,000, $350,000, whatever it was.
In the practice of this commission right now is to always have a cash reserve of $2 million. And you've done that, since recovering from, the beginning of 2020. Right now, you're projected to have a ending year balance of around $6 million. And then if you take out the debt service payment that's due in January, you're right around 4.2, and that kind of runs us through the amendments that were approved earlier tonight, this evening. As Councilperson Zilli mentioned, it just needs to be in the budgets, accounted for, very similar to how in the past we have illustrated on our budget that we keep the accounting of the other matching grants that we have, like the Marquette Trail, other obligations this commission has made historically, like the shoreline erosion study that's still on our books from many years ago, but these were obligations that this commission and the city of Portage made to those past efforts. So really, this would just again appear in the budget. The accounting would be there to make sure that it's spoken for. There's a lot of things in our budget, if you look at our working budget, that are in the unfunded category that we're always mindful of, to know that we're not spending more than we have available.
And is the intent to have the city reimburse redevelopment of 545?
I mean, I think we would have to. I mean, I don't, this is a question I think for Dan, if the RDC can absorb that cost, but.
I think it's better and smoother if So the answer to your question is,
I mean, when it's paid back is,
it's all coming
yeah.
back, it's a question of, hey,
Right.
what-
Yeah.
It may not be immediately in 2025. It may be 3 payments over 3 years. I mean, the city, we only get so much money in tax revenue every year, and quite frankly, the RDC pulls a lot of that revenue out of the TIF district that otherwise would have gone to the city that could have paid for this cost directly. It's a good thing. The RDC is a good thing, but I think we can't pass up this opportunity to get these 4 trucks at such a low cost. We can't. It would be negligent to not get this opportunity to save money, by the way, because these will run cheaper than diesel and cleaner than diesel has. I mean, the department's already seeing cost savings, and now, I think, is it next year, Randy? You'll have the CNG station at the department, which will reduce cost even further.
Yeah, we've got about $720,000 going towards a CNG station at the department.
Which is another matching grant, right?
Yes.
That the city's committed to. Well, I will make a motion to approve, do we want to call it a loan, Dan?
Yeah, commitment for a loan.
A commitment for a loan of up to $1,897,928 towards the purchase of these 4 CNG vehicles.
I need a second, please.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Sonia, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Lack,
Yes.
Commissioner Zilli,
Yes.
Commissioner Munt,
Yes.
Mayor Lynch.
Yes.
And this is just a commitment, as we know. So when we get closer to that time, we can work out the details of the repayment. We know 80% of it right now, but the rest. we can
Well,
figure
I mean, we very well could get to March of 2025 when these vehicles are ready, and the city could have $1.8 million that they can do this without the RDC's commitment. We're just a backup plan if the city doesn't have the funds. I mean, finding $1.8 million that's available to send out is very difficult for any city government. You have to look at Redevelopment Commission or other entities to do it. I mean, most cities are not going to have 1.8 million to just throw it, to send out immediately.
Depends on the timing of it, too.
Right. Right, the bill could come right after a tax draw, and magically, we have the money, because it came right after a tax draw, and then it's finding that 540,000, that's the challenge, so.
Yeah, I think, Colin, if I can expand on that, to me, it just sounds like, the comfort level here is okay. I mean, we're the backup plan, we're looking into the future, and hopefully, everything's gonna be fine, but we're the backup plan in case it is not
I mean,
within
I
the city's
think the
budget.
city, the general fund ended last year with 1.7 million, will be slightly or higher than that this year with projected property tax draws. Property taxes have gone up, there's higher tax draws coming. I mean, the city very well could be in a position to do this on their own. It's a matter of, we need a backup plan. We can't commit that the city will have $1.8 million to do it, so we need the backup plan, and that's the RDC.
Well, I want to thank the board for this and its consideration in the future of sanitation of Portage.
Thank you, Randy. I mean, this has been a phenomenal program for the city to get these trucks the last few years, to save money on the front end with the grant, and then to save money with CNG.
Yes.
I mean, it's just going to make our department even better.
Well, the other nice thing is if you're standing by those trucks, the fumes are not there. You're not gasping for breath when you're standing by a diesel truck, and the grapple trucks are significantly quieter.
And they don't have to sit, do the garbage trucks have to sit idle for a period of time?
Every once in a while, it'll go into it's called a regen. And it uses DEF to regen the engines to clean the particulates of the diesel emissions. And that has to sit still for about 45 minutes to an hour as it regens. The CNG trucks don't do that. So you've got a diesel truck sitting there at a high idle, burning off the particulates in the diesel system, and that's it just wasted. One of our trucks, we just spent about $3,700 on repairs to the DEF system. We had to take it into Great Lakes up there and get that taken care of. So it is costing us this old equipment, so,
It's time. Thank you, everyone.
all right.
Okay, we have 8.11, a discussion on the Portage Lakefront South Properties, Open Air Pavilion and Maker Space.
Well, good evening. I'm Tom Kuhn with CSK Architects. This is Mac Pearson. We call him the Wizard. Mayor and Commissioners, we've been working with the city staff and Scott Williams on reviving the open-air pavilion into a multi-season use facility by enclosing it and also creating half of the space into a maker space. So if you want to start with the pretty pictures, we can start there, or we can start with the technical part of it. This is a floor plan. Can you zoom in on the floor plan? So that's the current pavilion. The left side is the open portion, and we're envisioning storefront at the exits on the four corners and folding window walls, similar like ski resorts and that kind of thing you see, as opposed to overhead doors. So we've got some images showing both open and closed. So the back end of the building is going to pretty much stay as is, walls, you know, the layout and walls. And then we would incorporate the specific equipment that's shown there that Scott Williams has helped us out with for the makerspace projects. The lower right is the wood shop, right? And then you've got some shared equipment in the middle, and then up top is a metal shop. And you've got a 3D computer lab in the lower left, and a photography, dark room up in the upper left-hand side. So this project would require the replacement of the heating and cooling equipment, which is in the mezzanine. There are 4 units up there that are obsolete and non-functional, provided we can get a gas line to the facility. We're confident that the existing 800 amp 480 volt service is adequate for our needs. Previous use was a shop and a training facility, so we're in pretty good shape there. There's an outdoor welding tent off to the right, as you can see. That'll require demolition of an enclosure out there. And the existing restroom facilities are fine as is. The kitchen/concession may need some upgrades depending on what equipment wants to go in there, right, Scott? So, and the chair and table storage room is being taken over. So, if you want to go to some of the presentation 3D images, we rated these from the previous project when we actually opened this building up. But as you can see, that's the main entrance there to the north. That'd be storefront where the door is, and then next to it, the 2 next openings would be sliding, folding, like a bifold window wall. And then we would enclose the fireplace on the outside. That didn't work out so hot. And then there'd be window or storefront adjacent to the fireplace. That's where the fireplace used to be. Oh, it'd be open to the inside, so that'd be fine. Do you want to keep going on some of the other images? That's the backside. And then this is a version where it shows the window walls open. Yeah. Yep. And we've presented a very preliminary budget One of the challenges we may have is meeting energy code if we're going to heat and cool the open space, because that wasn't insulated, with the exception of the ceiling. So we may have to insulate the interior portions of the building to keep the exterior masonry facade intact. So that's one of the challenges we may face. And we envision in the back portion of the makerspace is, new finishes, flooring, ceilings, lighting, painting, et cetera. And then all the electrical needs and whatever else compressed air needs that the shops may have. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
I mean, the building, like you said, wasn't designed to be enclosed.
Well, it was enclosed originally.
Well, yes, but, I mean, are we expecting any issues with doing any of this work? Is there anything that we should be keeping an eye out on that could increase costs that we're not thinking of, other than heating and cooling?
I don't think so. We're just going to be up against insulating the building.
So the idea is enclosing the open air side, it could then still be used as a venue, correct? With the other side becoming the makerspace.
Correct.
And then this would be available, of course, to be used, but this would continue to be a city property that could be rented out. Because I know the problem is now you can't really have an event there. The wind comes in, the noise from the trains, I mean, it's very hard to have an event there. Enclosing it would make sense. I think it would be an easier to rent space if it were enclosed.
There was some talk about maybe taking the vestibule that's there now and where there's a overhead rolling shutter right there, and maybe just taking all that out and just having the main entrance, and then you'd have a folding window wall where that door is shown to the left there. Yeah, because that was we were expecting a different type of use, so that's why that was designed that way.
I mean, this could be a very nice rentable facility if it were enclosed. I mean, I've been to events there, and it's just really hard with the wind and the train noise. You wouldn't want to have a wedding there right now. But you enclose it, you have the fireplaces, it's heated, it's cooled. I think that's something we're lacking right now in the city, is a large rentable space. I think this would probably be our biggest space that you could rent. I think it'd probably be bigger than Oakwood.
What we envision is exposed spiral ductwork. The existing lighting would probably be adequate. We may want to look into upgrading that to LED and then providing some dim mobility, that kind of thing. But you're gonna qualify for some rebates on all the LED lighting in the rest of the building as well.
Now we get to the big question, cost.
I threw a swag out there, if you know what that is, but of $2.25 million, wasn't it, AJ? For enclosing it and doing the improvements to the heating and cooling and accommodating all the equipment. That didn't include the insulation. So we need to dig into that, and we need to look at different avenues if that's really required or not. Maybe we can apply for a variance based on the building's age. But the ceiling or the roof is insulated. And the remaining parts of the back of the building is insulated. It's studs with bad insulation. So we're just talking about the open air side, the current open air side.
I mean, do we need, if this could be a rentable space, I assume this did not include any kitchen upgrades?
No.
This was just the space exists?
Correct. There's a space designated for that use, but there hasn't been any design or equipment selected, so that hasn't been included. So your cost may go up, for sure. And depending on the equipment you put in there, it could escalate quickly if it's a commercial grade kitchen.
It was difficult to get too much into that, Colin, because the park needs to play a key role in that sort of discussion. Because then I think as a community, we're having a much larger discussion about, is this then going to be that large gathering space that the city of Portage offers? And is Oakwood gonna then become the gymnasium it kind of wants to be? And so that it
The
can,
small space.
and then the Sycamore's a different size rental, correct?
I mean, I think there's been talk about a renewed park bond as well. which could potentially assist with some of this cost if it's gonna become a rental space. I mean, there's work that needs to be done at Woodland, that's undeniable, but
And I think originally it was the concession or kitchen area was designed as a satellite, kind of a warm-up kitchen, you know, if you could bring in outside vendors.
Right.
You know.
which is basically what Woodland has. I mean, it's old, but.
It's old, yeah.
If I may, Madam Mayor, do you mind if I make a comment? Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
This may help. Thank you, Tom, for coming here and bringing your staff. So, a couple things. I think it makes sense to seriously look at enclosing the east side for the reasons that have been stated, that it gives the city, the RDC, and even the potentially the Maker Lab the opportunity to host events, to create exposure for the Maker Lab, but I think it could be a great addition to the city. And I think just starting out, the 8,000 square feet that we have proposed on the west side is plenty of space to get the Maker Space launched and operating and being successful. You have in front of you the business plan that we have spent the last 8 months putting together, and spent a lot of time with it, and a lot of research and due diligence went into that plan. It's with any business plan that has merit, it takes time. So we had a lot of discussions with maker spaces across the country, did a lot of research on who the members are, what's the demographics, and used census data here in our area to put together what we think is a very realistic projection of, we just lost everything, of revenue and expenses. So I'm going to ask you to take 30 days to look at that plan, and I'll be back in October to make a summary review to you, to the commissioners and mayor on some of the details of that plan. But if I may, I think what we're looking for this evening is the opportunity to move forward, at least in the engineering and design stage. Would you say that's pretty accurate, Mr. Kuhn? So that figure is been projected to be 160,000. So to keep this project rolling and going, we would, I think we're asking the commissioners, the board here, to entertain a motion to approve committing $160,000 to CSK to give you more information and design. If something has to be done in this building to make it usable, because it's not usable now. It's just sitting there. And as you recall in my initial presentation, that we were, there's a lot of value in turning this into a Maker Lab. So just to give you an update where we are as an organization, we are an Indiana not-for-profit. We have submitted for our tax exempt status with the IRS. We have a board of directors and officers. So we've done a lot since I initially made that first presentation. So we feel confident that we have a viable, sustainable product here, that we need your support. So I don't know if you have any questions for me.
I'd feel more comfortable taking the 30 days to consider it and look at it in our October meeting as far as going forward with an engineering part of it.
That's your call, Commissioner Lack, obviously. Everything is time sensitive, as the longer, but I can appreciate you wanting to do that.
AJ, I remember, I think we had a budget line item. What was that line item for?
It was the initial work that Tom and his team has put together. The Redevelopment Commission had a very small contract that has been kind of used to do this initial work by CSK. Additional work related to design has not been included in the working budget at this point.
I mean, AJ, from your perspective, the 160,000 to move forward with further design, Is it within our budget that we currently have?
It is.
I think that engineering design piece, Commissioner Lack, would give you the, even more information to look at, along with the business plan, to help you make that decision.
And I mean, I think we have to do something with this building. It's, I mean, the way it's designed now just isn't, it's unusable. At some point, we're gonna spend 160,000 either on what is being done here or what may come in the future if this doesn't move forward. So,
I don't disagree with you. AJ sent an updated budget at the beginning of this week, and based off of things going on in the North Side Business Park, downtown engineering, we're at about 2.1 million right now. And that doesn't take into consideration other opportunities as far as Garrett's concerned, so I'm just asking for 30 days so we can update everything and get a holistic look at how it's gonna impact even downtown Portage as far as our meetings there and the impacts and projects that may arise of that next year.
I haven't submitted a formal proposal either, so I can take care of that in the 30 days.
And if I could add to Mr. Kuhn's comment there, seeing a defined scope of work and proposal, I think will be beneficial, because you're going to, you, the commission, are gonna have a better sense of cost a little sooner than the process of 100% design. So Tom, if you would want to speak to that a little bit about when you would have more of that estimate that would.
Yeah, I think, you know, as you know, in the environment today is very hard to predict construction cost-wise. And it might be worthy of a cost estimator to be retained for $4 or $5 grand to provide you a more solid number. Once we get a little bit further on in the process, you know, a design development or something like that, we can engage a cost estimator to confirm, you know, hopefully confirm the actual cost.
well, why don't we go ahead, get a proposal to the RDC for us to review at our next meeting?
That's cool.
Would you be able to send these drawings to us?
Yes,
Sure,
please.
yeah.
I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think it looks awesome, and the building is, you know, over the winter, it just sits there. Everybody needs to understand that once the weather starts changing, that building will sit there until April, and nothing will happen with it.
Right.
This will take that building to a whole new level, and we'll be able to utilize it for many, many things. So I'm feeling very positive about it. I love the design. It looks really great.
Thank you.
So
Thank you very much. Nice
we'll look
space here.
forward
by
to
the
your
way.
proposal, Tom.
Very comfortable space you have here. Thank you.
Okay, Dan, we don't need to vote on anything, right? We're going forward. Okay, there is something to come before the commission. I believe, Robin, you needed to bring something to the commission at this time.
Madam Mayor, Commissioners, I have already went in front of the Board of Works and proposed this project that I'm working on. So I'm sure most of you know what it is because there's already been scuttlebutt coming back to me that everybody's heard about this. We're wanting to use. I have no idea. So. Okay, that's okay. I'm still going to explain it. We're wanting to use the green area that is in front of the Portage Mall at the moment, and we're wanting to use it for a summer concert in June, and we're talking a large artist, one that we haven't seen in this area. So we thought it would be good that we brought it to Portage, because originally we were talking Porter County Fairgrounds, but since I have multiple businesses here and my partners all live here, we figured we would try to include Portage into this. And since one of my businesses is right across from that green area, we figured this would be a nice area We have got drawings. I think a couple of you have already seen them, but if you would like to see them.
Oh, wait, they're down there. Sorry. I must have missed these.
Is that the drawings?
Oh, no, I don't know what this is, whatever this is.
Oh. There's multiple different views. Since this property is under the Redevelopment Commission, we have to ask permission to use it. And that's pretty much why I'm here.
So this was presented at the Board of Works meeting earlier this week. Some of the property that's contemplated to be used in this festival is owned by the city of Portage. Some of it's owned by the Redevelopment Commission. So we felt it would be good to, as it was presented to the Board of Works, that it also be presented to the Redevelopment Commission so that you're aware of the idea and proposed use of the property.
I know some concerns that were brought up was insurance, which we have already contacted somebody about event insurance. I have also spoke with Randy from Streets and Sanitation and Chief Wilkening from the Fire Department, and started getting together what we would need from them. We have touched base with Chief Candiano, but we have not yet sat down and discussed anything yet.
Can you say who it is? Because I see who it is written down, but I don't know if you can say
Well,
it.
that was actually put in there as just potential.
Oh,
But we
okay.
are actually talking to her camp, so.
Okay.
But yeah, we've already let the cat out of the bag with the last meeting, but yeah, there's 2 artists that we're going after. One of them is Gwen Stefani, and the other one is Kelly Clarkson. And it would just depend on which camp actually would respond more favorably to us.
Yeah.
They, at first, both turned us down because of the name. Originally, we were just calling it Rocks Fest because we were the ones putting it on. And they didn't want to be a part of a bar-sponsored festival. So we changed the name to Portage Rocks and Roll, so that way we were still included in it, but it looks more like it's for the city. And technically it is. Like I said, we looked at other options of places to have this, but I would rather have it in my own backyard and bring the money to the city.
And you're just looking for,
Permission to use that property.
So obviously parking is a big one. Are we also considering, because we own the property to the west, would you need that as well?
For
parking?
potentially, for
Yeah.
extra parking. We were also considering maybe using the parking lot for the middle school because it is within walking distance. And I know a lot of other big events, they use other parking areas and just walk if it's less than a mile, and that definitely
Sure, I just want to
is.
make sure if we need to give permission, we might as well consider that because we own that to the west, right? Yeah, to include that.
True, thank you.
So just a motion.
Yeah, I think that would be, they're coming back to the Board of Works as well, anyway. So maybe make your motion contingent upon the Board of Works approval of their property. She's already started addressing the concerns that Board of Works had. We have a little work to do with Mike Candiano, but that way they can iron it all out.
Well, I will make a motion to allow the use of RDC property, can we just say between Little League and Central and whatever that western boundary is. Do you need like the day before, day after included? Or like a
Definitely
few
the day
days
af-
before, a few days after?
Probably just one day before. I'm not sure how soon that they would be putting up the temporary fencing. I think he said 4 in the morning, This is why you should have been here with me. But yeah, they were talking super early in the morning, so that way we try to get as much of it done in one day as we can.
Well, I will hold
Same
off.
thing with the stage
AJ's gonna-
setup.
Yeah.
If they were to use other properties that may not be maintained to some of the way the property is in the Portage Mall, especially that property to the west, I think it would be wise to afford them more opportunity if it's decided that they're gonna use that property, because most of it's pretty heavily overgrown. And if that ends up becoming a parking lot to serve this event, they might need to get out there a little bit sooner to mow it, get it straight, kind of stuff like that. So if we could afford them the opportunity to use that a week or two even before the event, just to make sure they're set up and ready to go that day. June 5th.
Well, no, like, that's, yeah, AJ was just saying. All right, I will make a motion to allow usage of redevelopment property for this event from June 8th, 2024 through June 16th, 2024, including property, what is that? West of Little League, north of Vivian, or north of Main Street, all the way over to the property line.
Thank you.
Contingent upon Board of Works approval of the event.
And police for security, because that hasn't been discussed yet.
I figured I'll encompass all that in the Board of Works approval. I think it's probably easiest, that way we don't have to.
Thank you.
Robin, do you have a rain date if the weather became
No,
inclement?
this is gonna have to be a rain or shine.
It's not, I just know.
It's not gonna rain.
Thank you. From your lips to God's ear.
And I assume this is a ticketed event, right?
It definitely is. Oh, yeah, I can't make this a free event.
Got it, thanks.
Just to finish up here, Robin has a lot of things she knows she has to do. The Board of Works had a million questions for her, and so she's going to be back and forth with us on a lot of issues. She just starting this process, so there's a whole lot she's got to do, so.
I have to make sure that I've got the permissions first before I can go any farther with the artists. And the artists actually have to be booked quite a bit in advance so we can lock them in.
Mhm.
And if you're gonna be looking to use school property, you're probably gonna make a stop at the school.
Absolutely.
So, okay, we have a motion and a second. I'm just right now. Oh, okay.
Second.
Ralph was real close to second.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you did. Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
You have a long way to go, Robin.
I do, I
Sorry.
do. Thank you very much.
So is there any other business to come before the commission at this time? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
All in favor signify by
Aye.
saying
Aye.
aye. Aye.